Okay, it is Wednesday, October 21st, 2020, and we're going to start our select board meeting, Town of Sangerville. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, that means go to my meeting.
You're late.
Item 2, approval of the October 14, 2020 Select Board meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve A.
Second? Favor? 3 in favor. Item 3, review of treasurer's warrants, payroll 84 and accounts payable 85.
Make a motion to approve A and B is read.
Second.
All in favor? All 3 of us. There's no one here for open session. Item 5, executive session under, I make a motion that we go into executive session under 1 MRSA 4056A. It's a designation for personnel.
Second.
All in favor? We vote. It's 2 after 5 and we're now in executive session. All right, it's 5:30 and I make a motion that we come out of executive session.
Second.
All in favor? We're now back in session and there's no action taken from our executive session. On to item 6, old business. Proposal for the layout for the town office.
Okay, you guys gave me homework to check to see how much more it would cost to build down on the point as compared to building up next to 23. So you have notes in front of you. These are the people I talked to. Nick Wade did get back to me and tell me it was approximately 700 feet from Route 23 down onto the point. I confirmed that using, I can play with E911 software, and it was saying anywhere from 650 to 700 feet, so that sounded right. I called CMP about poles and running electricity. And I spoke to somebody named Joe who told me I need to have a field planner come out to do an evaluation. And they can't do that till the 9th of December.
Wow.
At 10:30 a.m., but they will do that.
Oh, okay.
He gave me a notification number. He set me up on an account that I don't even, I'm like, you understand I'm just looking for an estimate here. I don't want to. He's like, no, but, so anyway. He said customer owned poles that you convey to CMP are probably cheaper. We'll see when the field planner gets out here. So I called Northern Line Construction, Jake and Chris Arno, to see how much they thought putting poles in would be. I spoke to Chris and he said you need a pole every 240 feet. So that would equal 3 poles. And he said his estimate, including poles, wire, and install, is generally about $12 per foot or $8,400. So then I moved on to road and site, looking at the site, and I talked to Herrick Construction and Lots and Landscaping. Herrick told me a new road from 23 to the point would be between $35,000 and $55,000, and that depended on whether there's ledge and how much material is in there and how much gravel you have to haul and for the roadways, those kind of things. But the first thing he said to me was, oh, it'll be $6,000 to $15,000, and I'm looking at him and I realize he's talking about if you leave the road where it is and you just have to do, it's only about $6,000 to $15,000 depending on whether there's ledge in there or not. That's just something I hadn't thought about. His price included taking down the trees, and we'd get some money from some of those trees. There's some oak in there, there's some pine in there. It wouldn't be much, but there's some. And Nick had the building-oriented north-south Zach was saying, oh, so you'd orient this way, which would be like southwest. And I don't know if that's something we want to think about, but we haven't even really thought about how you'd orient a building. You have more options down on the point. You only have one option up on 23. The daylight basement side obviously has to go towards the stream.
Yeah.
In terms of elevation, really.
Correct, I mean, you could
Or-
orient them, you could
Well,
be
you
perpendicular to the road, or you could be
You're
parallel to the road,
Right.
still could enter, you,
Right.
very much like Parkman,
Right.
you just go around the back.
So then I talked to Steve Lawson. He was talking, I mean, we're obviously talking an all-season road. He was talking 24 feet in width. That's wider than some of our regular roads, but to the
Yeah, but
point.
is he talking, when you say 24 feet, you say it's wider, is he actually considering the 24 feet, so you got your road surface, your ditch, you know what I mean, 24 foot of,
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
You could have-
Really-
All
Get a
set it
6
up.
foot of ditch out of that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which
He
would
was
leave you
talking-
18 feet to pass each other,
He
which
was
would
talking
be
2 lanes,
minimal.
so yeah.
Yeah.
And he was his estimate, and neither gentleman, put pen to paper or any of that. They just understood that I needed
Mm-hmm.
a rough figure. He
And
said-
you said 700 feet, basically.
Yes, basically. So he said 60,000. The price could change depending on whether you found lead or ledge or gravel in there. He recommends getting somebody out there and digging some test holes. See what you do find.
Well, you kinda got one. When you
Maybe-
go to,
Yeah, that-
kind of-
yeah.
when you go to the dam, I mean, that's all dug out, that's all
Yeah.
gravel bank up through there.
Yeah,
Is it?
so- But there's some ledge in the road. Both he and Zach mentioned the ledge because they
Yep.
you trip over it. So
Yep.
you kind of need to know.
You don't know where that ledge cut
Yeah.
stops and starts.
Yeah. And then the other interesting thing that he said to me is you really need to think to the future. 10 years down the road, what do you want this piece of property to look like? Because if somewhere in those plans, maybe you want more parking near the road, maybe you want, something for this park near the road, then perhaps the point is the better piece to build on. You really just need to think about where we're headed. And again, we've talked about a landscape architect, and so maybe we need to think faster about that. I called Haskell's about the existing well, but I haven't gotten to call me back.
Does he still drill?
I don't believe so. This is what I was told, that he didn't drill it. He would do some site work, but would get somebody else to drill.
Find out.
Okay. Then I called Pine State Drilling, which is out of Athens, and they sent me a quote of $6,755 to drill a well. I have the actual quote here if you wanted to look at it, but again, either spot you probably need a well, depending on what you have for Haskell's well, but that's about 300 feet you'd have to pipe that well. And then in terms of septic and leach field, I talked to Chris Newt. He said residential would probably run you 5 to 10, commercial generally runs 10 to 15, but I should call Green Nap and see what she says in terms of site design, because are we more like residential or more like commercial? And I think residential, they use way more water than we're gonna use.
Yeah, we're gonna be light residential. I mean, a commercial, I'm thinking of a restaurant
Yeah.
or a hotel.
That's why you need that definition, because I mean, technically, like a Robinson's or the store on the hill, they're a commercial.
Yeah, so.
We're not even that. You're not even at a convenience store.
Yeah, if you don't have, for example, I think in Dexter, the golf course, because they're not on public water up there, he can't even sell food. Because his septic system couldn't handle it.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean,
I wonder if municipal has another,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
If you look, there's no showers, there's,
Right.
there's
You're not doing laundry, you're
There's
not
2
doing
employees.
dishes.
Dishes, right.
But it's no different than a commercial. They're gonna basically say, you know, like a restaurant be off seating or even a store. They must have it's off square footage to traffic or something.
Yeah,
They must
yeah.
have something for a weird formula.
Yeah, but I can't imagine that we would exceed the capacity of a residential. We're gonna do less.
Yeah.
Dan,
Yeah.
what did Corinne charge to do a site plan?
I don't know, she hasn't charged me yet.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't have mine done yet.
Oh,
I was gonna do some test holes before Chris was supposed to do.
oh, well, Chris thought it
It
was
wasn't
about
much.
500, but it's not much.
No, it wasn't that.
But if you figure 10 is a high residential and a low commercial, I mean, I
Yeah.
think 10's gonna be pretty close.
Yeah.
And either way, you're gonna
Yeah.
have to have.
Oh, you're gonna have to have a site.
Yeah, right.
Other considerations, you asked me to call the school.
Yeah,
Guilford has their, I think they even have their select board meetings there, but they have their town
Oh.
meetings there. And in the past, it has always been acceptable, and it will be again in the future. Right now, because of COVID and these emergency states, they had organizations have meetings before the kids came back to school, but now that the kids are in the building, until the emergency
Sure.
status, but it's $18 per hour for the janitorial fee.
And that's the charge, period.
That's the charge.
it's not bad.
No.
For $200, you could have your meeting there. I mean, you could
No.
last all day.
And
Right,
even,
yeah, that's right.
And even,
That's,
It doesn't make any sense to build a huge building when we've got
And we still have
places
Bible.
this close by.
Grace
Yeah,
Bible will be more comfortable, because they don't have metal chairs, and
Yeah, they were free.
they're free.
But
Yeah.
at least we have options.
right.
We have plenty of
We have
good, solid options.
explored the options,
Yeah.
and they're.
And you could say, well, Grace Bible's a church, but it's in Sangerville. The other one's a school,
But
but
I
it's in
will-
Guilford. I mean, you can play those.
And I had this conversation tonight, before I came here, with somebody who is very religious, with a different religion that's up there. And we did talk about last year and using that, and I made reference that there was a couple of people, not very many, that did express a concern, because we were in the church, and he actually said, was, you know, same as I, that we weren't in the church, that was
Right.
over there.
Right.
And that's what my point was,
Yeah.
is, you know, I had,
You're in a
to
big
me,
rec room.
it's four
That's a
walls
big-
and a roof, and he agreed as well, so. I would definitely, it would take more than the 2 people that complained last year before I would want to do.
And they built it on to be part of their school.
Yeah.
So, might have been a Christian school, but it was a school.
But with regard to this project, we have good, solid options. It doesn't make any sense for us to expand this building for a one-a-year
Yeah.
use when we
Yeah,
have,
for 3 hours a year.
right. So,
No.
and both of those venues would have the capacity far beyond 100 if we ever had to do it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Then you also got the lodge.
Oh, in Guilford?
They
Yeah.
rent that out, the
Yeah.
downstairs of that.
Yeah.
So,
That's all set up for tables.
Yeah, that's a good area. It's got a kitchen.
so the other question was the library versus no library, and what would we do to that footprint if you,
Okay.
Well, the library had a meeting Thursday, and they've decided for the winter through their April meeting, they're gonna be open 2 days a week, Thursdays and Fridays. I was talking to the librarian, and when I first talked to her, she said, well, I asked her for some numbers, and she said, well, I'm pulling those together now for the board, for the library board, because I said, well, can I get a copy of that? She said, yes, I haven't seen it yet. But after the meeting, we were discussing, you know, what they decided, because she thought they were going to close for the winter. And this came out of nowhere that they're gonna be open 2 days a week. She said, well, I only had to call 3 people.
Oh, to let them know.
Who were regular, routine
Customer.
patrons.
Seriously?
patrons.
Seriously. There are other people in terms of internet and people who come 2 or 3 times a year, you know, or in or out, but you got 3 regulars.
But back to our project, if you had no library, and so the top floor is all town office, and the bottom floor would actually, now you could even go to one floor. I mean, if you wanna,
You could.
I mean, you really could put
You
this on
only
a.
needed 2 floors, cause you was looking at.
A big hall
Right,
down
if we
below.
configure this kind of the way we
Well,
are
having the
now,
library, I mean,
you wouldn't split this onto 2 floors, and there's a lot of wasted space the way this hallway is set up, and,
Right.
I mean.
well, I was actually asked the other day that if the town office got, if something happened to the foundation and we got notification you couldn't use this building anymore, or have we even thought about bringing in, because other towns have used them, like those construction trailers? Something, because that's all the size we really need.
We actually could run the town with it.
Out of one of those small construction type trailers.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, I hope this,
And visually, it's not gonna look any different, because you can't see the daylight basement.
no.
No, that's right.
So Nick's rendering
Right, right.
would just be
Right, you
Can I
just.
send that to you guys?
the square footage,
That's right, that's right.
but a lot cheaper.
Oh, absolutely, yeah,
But
yeah.
you could still. Not separate this perhaps as much. I was thinking.
you don't need that.
A room for meetings, like if I didn't want to be in my office, or they wanted to have lunch.
But you could do this and this
could
together.
Yeah, you could put a folding, or you can put a folding divider in there or
It's
something.
not
to-
very, you
I
don't
mean-
need much.
And then you don't need stairs if you're not
Correct.
gonna have it
Yeah, that's a
downstairs.
big
You
one.
just get shit, you just
Yeah.
keep getting smaller.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so,
In that room you're talking, in
Yes.
our room can be, you don't need a separate room.
Nope,
did not,
you don't.
I swear I sent that to you
I never
guys.
see it.
No. Did you?
Huh.
No.
You mean via email?
Yeah. Probably knowing me, I sent what I thought was it and didn't even attach it, but could be. I also,
So this is kind of what you and
well,
Lorna,
when I looked at Nick's layout, I'm like, this really doesn't work for me.
well, and you know, you're the person working here,
But this would put, you have in and out,
oh, that's good, that's
you
very
have,
good. And you could flip it, obviously,
You could
mirror
flip it,
image,
right.
mirror image.
they need a certain amount of space in the office, they need access, immediate access to lockable storage.
Sure.
I need immediate access to Lorna, but I could also have a door
Oh,
to the
yeah,
hallway
yeah,
if we
yeah,
didn't want to
yeah.
drag people through. I thought if you put the big room on the end like it is now,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe some kind of divider, because we talked about having a smaller conference room or someplace for them to eat
Yeah,
lunch.
yeah.
Because they eat at their desks now. Hey Chad,
Yeah,
come on
yeah.
in. And then, this rest of it for meetings or,
Yeah.
It really just begs the
Yeah.
question that you're gonna, I mean,
But
you're
you
gonna
keep
build
going.
that entire downstairs, really, it's all the libraries driving the whole thing.
right, it is.
But even you guys, you say that like you need a place to eat. Right here.
Right,
I mean, you
Right.
got whatever.
Yeah,
we
it's
do.
empty.
It's,
Right.
yeah, this room is empty. There's nothing wrong with.
right.
2 days
Even
a
now,
month.
I mean,
Right, so you don't even need a divider.
no, I mean even right now, if the girls wanted
Yeah,
to
if they
come
wanted
in
to sit in
put
here.
a blind on that door, and this could be their lunchroom during the day. It wouldn't
Yeah.
matter.
Well, the microwave is in
That's-
there. They all-
Yeah,
they
and that's
all
probably
in
is the
there.
place for it.
But why keep?
No, that looks good, Bridie. I mean, that's,
And the one other thing I was gonna show you is the property down to the ball field is in 3 pieces. This is what the Sangerville Athletic
Yeah.
Association gave us. This is the Wells property. The tax map has it stopping here, but I think it comes down more like
Down to the edge.
to the road,
road.
to the
It
edge of
does.
the road.
Because,
Because they own that whole room.
yeah,
Oh.
they owned the whole road. So, and then this
remember.
piece, yeah, George used to patrol it. It was
Very
George,
much.
right? Was that his
Yes.
name? Yeah, George Wells. And so this is the piece bought or given to us by, I can't remember if it was Sangerville Woolen at the time or Guilford Woolen. They've changed back and forth. The only thing park rec related that's in this zone is the beach. And
The
that's
boat
Sure,
launch.
the boat launch.
the beach.
So the boat launch isn't even.
Oh, the boat
The
launch
boat
is right on
launch
the,
is
right on the line.
down that
Yeah,
line.
it's a straight in.
Yeah, they made it on the line between the Wells property and the athletic property.
No,
You sure?
yeah, the road was the Wells. The original property line is, that fence
Uh-huh.
is on the original property line.
Oh, that's why
You
he
think
was
so?
patrolling the
Okay.
road.
Oh, yes.
Well, I was
Because
reading-
he would get mad at everybody going in and out of there, and literally, that was his gate. He would
Yeah.
have shut that gate and locked it. Wouldn't
Yeah,
let anybody
you're
in.
right, he did lock that.
Oh, yeah.
So the boat launch was at the end of his road.
Mhm.
So people were, it was basically right, not legally right, waiting over his property to get to the
Yeah,
boat launch.
it was hard to tell
was sketchy.
because one of these
Wow.
deeds,
Yikes.
references as a point, a tree.
I
An
love-
apple
I
tree
love
on the
those.
property across the road, which is 1 rod, 16.5 feet from the building. So I decided that the road must have been it, but, so
No,
no,
the
the road is still
completely-
on Wells then.
Yes, the road is completely on the Wells property. That was the big selling point. to
But the
buy
wells
that
didn't go to
property,
the
was town
pond.
didn't
The
know.
wells never
No,
had
no.
water frontage. So really the beach is the only thing,
Yeah, the Wells property, they had it made because they
Yeah.
had complete water, 100%
But did
public
pay for
land
it.
all around, but never had any property tax. on it.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Well,
but
Okay, well, that's interesting.
except that in the deed, we have to allow float plane access by execs from, the Woolen Mill.
Really, that was part of the
That
deal?
was part of the deal,
Interesting.
yeah.
Have they ever come in?
I bet
Do
they
you
did
guys
back
remember?
then.
we actually, yeah, well, they used to land a lot right in the river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they did, and we just, and I didn't realize we still owned it when we got bought out through the Voltec. King Cummins used to land his plane in Newport. So when you come around the corner, they're all dilapidated, because of course that was a million years ago, but the pylons were still there from his dock. And right up till then, they still owned that. So they just got rid of that not too long ago.
But in terms of, we aren't using this much, so if we figure out something for Parks and Land that utilizes this and either spot that you put the town office would be,
That's interesting, because you know, if you fly in, right now, you can't drive, you can't go back and forth by vehicle to Canada, but you can fly.
get yourself a plane,
You can fly in and out of,
talk Jody into
you
piloting.
can fly in and out of, well, really, you can fly in and out of Bangor right now, there's no
Yeah.
restrictions. But you can't drive,
To Canada.
yeah,
Really? I didn't realize but you've been driving back and forth.
not once.
Oh, just once. And it was a little sketchy.
Well, they let him back out.
We
So-
was the only vehicle that went through the border that,
Wow,
Oh,
I can
crazy.
tell you that. Besides log truck.
So I guess for you guys, what we're trying to decide is, what do you need to decide on, what do,
Well, now it looks like two configurations. One with a foundation, and which would accommodate a library.
you know,
So this actually is getting simpler in the sense that, you gotta add all those costs associated to that configuration with the library rendering. And from Nick's point of view, it's not gonna make any difference.
right, because either the.
He's just gonna show it
flat
and, yeah. and-
And or the,
So I think those are, those are the two scenarios for the building itself. The layout, we work on it. I mean, I think you got a really good start there.
yeah. I mean,
And then the next question is, where we're gonna put it. Is it gonna be on 23, or are we gonna go down on the point? That's,
you didn't happen to add what, sort of the gross numbers that you had come up with. I mean, obviously I can do that.
it was about 60, 70 grand. I mean, that's-
Total?
60 plus 84 is from what I got.
Well, and I took the low one and the high one, and I just
Yeah.
threw, and so it's gonna be somewhere between $60,000 and $70,000 for electricity and road. That's pretty close, which doesn't really
That's right,
shock me.
because well, no
Well,
matter-
and,
The well, you're gonna have well either way.
and then you get to think about, how much, can you get some of that paid for by,
Well, and it's interesting, if you just forget the town office for a minute, if this were a part of our development of that land, we could get half of this money back.
correct?
And just keep going, whatever you do, they'll give us half of everything as long as it's for recreation. It's locked into recreation forever.
forever,
But
right,
I still think that's a pretty good deal for the town.
right.
But if you take,
And
if
actually,
you
I say
take 2
that,
acres out for the town office.
Right.
And dedicate 2 acres somewhere else
right,
to
Yeah,
recreation.
you would need to take 2 acres
My view of it is,
You're not on
Yeah.
a quarter of an acre
Right.
here.
I don't even know why I wanna be in there. I mean, why do I don't wanna pull from it at all. Leave it pristine, someday we'll develop it, I got this beautiful spot on 23, saves me 60 to 70 grand in building my building, I'm ready to launch. And maybe we need a few more parking spaces, maybe we don't,
I think we need more parking, but
there's
somebody.
plenty of room.
But we can get somebody else to think about
Yeah.
parking. Steve mentioned you probably want two entrances. Because of things like when the ball fields are all busy and they're all parked up on the road.
That's what Jerry said, you're not gonna be able to do on State 23. If you put that road in for the town office down below, they're gonna make you shut the other one, you're not allowed to have that many
You don't
that
think
close.
that too? No.
You don't think so?
That could
No,
be-
Jerry said that, there's no way. They'll close it
Jerry, oh,
when we were out
Peters?
there, yeah.
So it only works if we're closing it anyway.
What's
Yeah,
that?
it only works if we're closing that middle one.
Yeah, we gotta close that
Well, no,
one.
you could use that one. I mean, if you was gonna,
Yeah,
if
you can
you're-
either use that one or
you could
make.
either use that one or you're gonna make a new one, you're not
Yeah,
gonna have
you're not
both.
Yeah, okay.
But you're not having ball games when town office is open. I mean, we're closed when they're doing their thing.
3 o'clock, well,
Yeah.
no tournaments till Saturdays or
Right.
probably, yeah,
But all during the week there's stuff,
yeah,
could be.
practices.
Well, it
but-
depends, I mean, this year, Fire Rec didn't use it, so.
Yeah,
It's just residents this year.
But and you walk down, and I walked down in there a ways with a slight level, and there's a lot of grade. I mean, if we ended up
That's
having to go,
actually, you know, the first day that we met with the planning board, I didn't hike that area on
It's a
23.
hole in there,
It's what?
a hole.
it is
It is a
a hole.
hole.
You can see it right on 23, you don't have to hike it.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I
once you're in there,
hiked
you can
all
see the
through
roads
there.
above your head.
No, that's what I'm saying, if you stop
Yeah, yeah.
right after the bridge, don't walk in there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right,
that's gotta be 15 feet down.
yeah. I mean, I hiked all through there.
Hmm.
So. I mean,
And you know, when it's presented, there's certainly gonna be a lot of discussion. You know, did you guys look at this? Yeah, then we can do that.
Right.
And here's the reasons why we're, you know, talk about, the grant money that's available, if we keep that recreational. But if the town wants to spend an extra 60,
Personally, I wouldn't
Go
be
for it.
even entertaining grant money to spend all down around that water if you're not gonna put the building down there.
see, I think the opposite way. I would rather have it be hiking trails, picnic tables,
No way.
recreation.
It's already Needle City down there right now, because there's nobody down there all the time.
Yeah.
Why do you wanna dump all kinds of money in
There's,
there?
there's some pretty bad things up near the road too.
Well, if people are around it, it's not gonna happen as much.
Right, and I gotta believe once we move in, I
That isn't
mean,
gonna
you're gonna
change.
drive by the town office and go down there and shoot up, maybe,
They do it now, right here.
right.
So they're gonna do it no matter what.
They're gonna do it no
They
matter
do it
what,
downtown.
right, they do
I
it,
mean, they
so,
drive by here every day.
so I guess the point's moved.
They're not
Yeah.
doing it out in our parking lot, whereas that's what I'm
Maybe
saying.
they are.
Well, maybe,
Ugh.
so.
no, not in the parking lot, but
Yeah.
definitely,
So,
But-
the bottom line is, do we wanna spend an extra 60, 70 grand? That's,
Right.
I look at it. And I don't see a reason to, but,
I don't think it'd be 60 or 70 grand, so.
well, we just go by
I
the
mean-
estimates we got.
Yeah, I mean,
You're going by the
Well-
highest estimate.
No, actually, 60 is the low one, 70 is the high one, so.
Okay.
I mean, call it
But-
40 or 50. I don't have a problem, let's call it 40 or 50, I still don't wanna spend it.
right.
But if you guys want to, that's fine.
No, I mean, to me, I think down on 23 makes more sense. It's functional and it's, I
The
mean,
big thing is,
I
what do you
wrote-
wanna do with the whole property when it's done? If you're gonna, like that says right there, if you're never gonna do anything else in the whole road frontage of that property, you're not gonna do anything else in the front, then put the building there.
But
But,
what are you thinking that you could, first of all, Bridie and I met there the other day, and the noise. So, I mean, if you are hiking, if you wanna take a little hike, I mean, the more you go into the property, it's not as noisy, but when you're right on the street, it's noisy. So why not put your municipal building on the street where, I mean,
Like where it is now.
right,
I mean,
right.
it's
oh,
on
it's
the
not the
street.
same.
Well,
Go stand on 23 and listen to tractor trailers.
the same number of
It's
cars going
unreal.
through.
It's
Yeah,
unreal.
that hill right there takes a lot of the traffic.
But I vision that to be a recreation,
More, like, yeah.
bird
that's-
watching, picnic, that kind
That's
of
a
thing.
great vision, I just don't see it'll ever happen.
Well,
Hey,
then,
why, Dale?
Go, How many people, you was there, Jody?
Right.
How many people was there has never even been on that property?
No, it's because it's not developed.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because it hasn't been developed.
You can drive right down there anytime you want. There's a beach down there.
I think you've
There
seen a
is.
lot more use out of that gazebo than you would have had without a gazebo. I
At the
mean,
gazebo.
people are using it.
At
So
the
if you
gazebo.
build it, they might use those picnic tables. But if we don't, we don't. That's okay. It'll be the way it is now.
That's kind of
Well,
the
you can still
thought.
put picnic tables out there even if you don't decide to do a
Sure.
grant, because a picnic table isn't gonna cost you that much.
They've been
Right.
down there many times and they get destroyed because there's nobody
Oh, I
there.
know.
That's my point.
But I have an option this way. It can be seasonal. I don't have to keep that road open all winter if I don't want to. There's a lot of different things that you wouldn't be forced into doing. Once you're out there on the point, that you're maintaining that road year round after you built it. So,
You're already kind of doing it.
the whole,
That's what
no, well, no, we're not. We're doing it because we want to, not because we have to.
Well,
We don't have to plow that road all winter.
you gotta remember that that's the only pond we have that with landowners, that is their only deeded access.
Right.
Right, but all we need to do is
That's
keep a
why-
parking area if we want to give them a place to launch their sleds. We don't have to plow that road,
Yep, I know.
so, but we do. But once you put a building in there, you're gonna have to.
Good.
And I think, the other thing is, the whole argument of leaving this place is
Is
to be
to
more
save money.
efficient and save money.
That's really the only thing that's driving my decision, is if we're,
If that's our whole decision, why don't we put a building right here in the corner? That'd be even cheaper. Now you got town water, you got town sewer, you got power sitting right there.
mean, just build another one right there.
Right over there in the corner. You ain't talking much of a building, if that's the sole purpose of why we're doing this.
I don't
Why
think it would
we-
save you any money.
Why wouldn't it?
I don't even think you're gonna have enough room by the time you build your building. You're gonna have to tear this one down.
You're gonna
And you
have to do
know that
something
you
with
don't
this
wanna get into
eventually
that,
anyway.
so, well, yes, we know that, but we don't wanna put them, we
We
don't
never,
wanna connect
other
the
than
two.
town meeting, you never fill this parking lot. So to say we don't have enough room to build a small building that we're talking about now, of course you do.
I'd have to put a rule to it, but, I don't know.
And now you don't have to worry about, you don't have to worry about separate, what's that, 25 grand? 20 grand?
Is that where you wanna put it?
No, I wanted to put it on the point.
Oh, well. So now you're talking about $100,000 difference.
Exactly.
Well,
No, but I mean, the whole direction of where we started with and where we are today has come full circle. Before it was what's gonna be a better value for the town, what else is the building gonna bring? Now all we're looking at is fundamentally, how small of a building can we build for the least amount of money? Well, if that's the goal, that's it.
Well, no, I disagree with that, because we would be looking at what you talked about, a construction trailer, and no one's really entertained that.
As far as building a
We're
building.
trying to do something nice.
Right.
Correct, but it's small. I mean, you're looking at,
Well, we don't wanna build more than we need, but,
then that's plenty of room.
well, you say that, but we haven't really looked at it yet.
I mean, I don't, it just seems that all the way out on the point, if, let's say, somebody like Brady, I mean, I used to go down my road when there was some sketchy guy living down in one of the camps beyond my property, and I was always afraid coming home late at night because he would be out on my road. You know, coming into the town office, do you ever come in at night and work? And you're all the way down on the point, you know, you're sort of.
You've had the same
a little
interest, same
bit-
concerns with the girls in the office, right here in this town, right in this parking lot.
But yeah, well, you can do that forever.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying, it's
yeah.
the same thing, it doesn't change anything.
Well, the only thing, getting it out of the point, I think that might sell it to some people in terms of what Jerry Peters was talking about, a benefit to the town. So you're out there, you can police your picnic tables, you can have more lights, have security. On the other hand, you build up next to the road, you can still have your picnic tables, but people are gonna trash them. I mean, they even trash the cement ones over here on the Riverwalk.
Hey, I don't have a problem giving it to them as an option. We're already gonna give them an option on with the library and without. You, on the point and not on the point. I don't have a problem with that. I think the more options you get, the more confusing it gets, but,
I fully agree.
so.
But I'm just saying, if
But if,
you kind of, this whole thing has changed all the time, so if that's all you're talking about is this minimal necessity of what we have to build, why wouldn't you build it right here?
you can throw in a third option if you want
I mean, there's no sense to, because that would save you the most amount of money.
to. Well, actually, just go right to the Public Works building and renovate one of those bays.
Yeah.
Ready to
It's not
go.
really- You've already had people up there that told you renovating that
Yeah, but-
slab is not cost effective.
But
Yeah.
we're just gonna slap one in there.
That's not slapping one in there, Mike.
Well, the point is, we own all that land, there's all kinds of parking.
That's right, and we do right here as well.
Take a slab off,
Yeah, you could do that.
yeah. So, I mean, we looked at that option, is city water there?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that, we're not, and we really don't wanna get rid of that, we got a sand pot.
Yep, yep.
So now we have more information.
Right.
And that would be cheap there. I mean, we gotta tear down something, but,
Still more than you do right here.
Do we wanna table this for a second and
Sure.
Yep.
talk
Yeah.
to
Yes,
Ted, and we can go
absolutely.
back?
Yes. That's,
okay.
I was kind of enjoying listening.
Okay, I didn't know how much of your evening you wanted to spend with us.
yeah.
Well, you get to listen, because you can keep right on
Yeah,
Stay
listening.
afterward.
Fire Department Action Plan. And Chad Burgess is with us tonight. I'm not sure, we're really expecting an action plan from you, but,
No, I don't think there's an action plan to be given.
okay,
You know, it's
still working on it,
still in the works, to say it directly.
okay?
I don't know if it's been officially announced over here yet or not, but as of December 1st, I'll be taking over as the fire chief.
Well, we had heard that, and it was one of the things we were gonna ask you about.
Might as well throw it out on the table, that's all.
Good.
I was a little bit hesitant, but it's the only option we have, and I'm gonna take it. And
Did you say December 1st?
yep, the meeting is on November, the first weekend of November, and that'll be the vote. And then it switches hands December, the first Sunday in December.
Okay,
That's
Tomorrow, December 1st?
No, November.
it's interesting, because there's been a history of, basically, the fire department kind of picks their chief, and then the select board, by our ordinance, rubber stamps it.
Right.
And it really shouldn't be that way. The select board appoints for now. We actually want to change the ordinance so that the select board doesn't appoint, the town manager hires, because of all sorts of legal reasons with personnel, and the way that it's set up is not correct. But I think, speaking for myself, I think the board would be really supportive of this plan that you've described. So I think that's,
I think we'd all be in favor of appointing you after you're elected by, is it an election? I mean, is that the right?
It's an election, but I was the only nominee.
Okay, okay.
What makes you hesitant?
Really time. When I do something, I want 100% full effort, and you know, I work out of town. This is the earliest I get home right now during the week. I want to be able to give it 100%, which I still think I can, and I still think I got a good crew over there that will work with me to support that. But I don't know if this is the time to bring this up or not, but I'm going to anyway. So,
Go ahead.
I want to talk about how to. So, our treasury and secretary issues are not really up to par. They do the best they can do. We do the best we can do. I'm not bragging on anybody, and I never will. So, I'd like to bring my wife in to take over as secretary and treasurer, but not be a part of the fire department. And everybody over there is on board with that, but I don't know how to do that legally.
Well, I can tell you that after the last payroll, I've decided that all you really need to do is turn in your call sheets, your Sunday duty, your training and your meeting sheets, and that Lorna can do payroll.
That would be good. So
That'll cut down.
Deb has tons of experience. She does payroll for 200 people every Monday morning. You know, I mean, she's got a ton of experience with that. I want all the computer stuff set up. She's very computer smart. Right now, we're in the 1800s as far as the way we keep track of our records. It's just, as far as I'm concerned, you should be able to open up that computer and click on chat merges and see everything. And she knows how to do that. I don't know.
I'll hire her.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know how to do that, and she
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
She's already mentioned that she wants to, you know, work with you, and so that, because there's share files out there, there's all kinds of different programs out there that can be run. I am beyond sick and tired of hearing the town and the fire department, and I can't stand it. It drives me nuts. I've stayed away from it I've been on for, 15 years now, and I've never got involved in it. If I'm gonna get involved in it, it's not gonna be that way. I don't have the time, the patience, or it's time to take that bad blood and just flush it and be done with it.
Yes.
So, as far as I'm concerned, we shouldn't be hiding anything from you, or there shouldn't be any of that crap going on. So she can set it all up so that there's a share file, so that you don't even have to question it. Warner doesn't even have to question it. Once a week, you come down, you grab our run sheets, you throw them in the scanner, and it hits each person's file, and all you gotta do is click on it. Bang, done. She's told me that she can do that in a matter of no time. It's pretty simple. I mean, I work for $1 billion company, and we do it for 5,000 people every week with very minimal mistakes. It can't be that difficult to do it for 20 people.
Right.
Is it something that you could hire her, like the fire department hire her as?
Maybe, yeah.
Easy way to do it is just make her a firewoman.
I know, but she doesn't
Well,
want
you can't
to.
because of, she's gotta make 2 trainings a month.
Yeah,
She's gotta there's
no,
certain.
That's all at your discretion.
No, sort of. If the NFPA came in and wanted to see your training records, they'd say, how come this person's been on and she's a fireman, but
I'm
has
pretty
never
sure you
been
can
in
get around
training?
it that way.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it seems as though the fire department could hire somebody to keep
Accountant?
an accountant. Right.
A
Or,
consultant.
A
right, you
bookkeeper.
can do it
Oh,
through
yeah, a
why can't
bookkeeper.
we do it through the town? Then it's
Yeah.
even easier.
I mean, I don't even know if she can just do it as a volunteer
Yeah.
thing. I don't know.
You have to be able to do it.
She could do it as a volunteer, but.
Yeah, someone could donate their bookkeeping skills to the fire department. That would
Yeah.
be,
I think so.
It depends on whether you need her to just set it up or whether you need her long-term to keep it.
Does she want to volunteer those services?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, so,
Yeah, well, she's fully on board with
right, making this work.
making this work.
That's awesome, that's awesome.
I
mean,
just
that's
have
a
to work
step-
with you and figure out how to do what you need.
Yeah,
You just pay her through if you need to or whatever. Right through the town office. Make it simpler.
I mean, I don't even know if there's a stipend for treasurer and secretary right now, and certainly not
Well, you need-
concerned with that.
You need to get my list, because I'm not sure. I know what I pay for stipends, and there's none for secretary, treasurer, unless a certain officer's, unless the assistant chief automatically is your secretary and treasurer. You know.
Yeah.
Like somebody, like you were automatically the training officer, because that's what, unless that's the case, I don't think there is.
I want her to do the minutes at the meetings, because I don't think that those get kept quite right. And just all of our files, as a whole. I mean, it's 2020. That's just ridiculous. To have to stick a screwdriver in a hole to unlock something to get somebody's training files out.
that's ridiculous, yeah.
It's time to move past that.
Well, that sounds good, Chad. That's all
Yeah.
very encouraging,
Yep.
really encouraging. Now, is Jerry going to plan on staying on?
Yes, yep, Jerry's gonna stay on as assistant chief for 1 year. And then what happens next year will be up to the department. Just to help. Hey, I'll be honest with you, as far as going, if we get called out right now to go to a structure fire, car accident, whatever the case may be, I don't have even a little bit of a worry on that. I'm not trying to toot my own horn by any stretch of imagination, but more or less, that's the way it is right now, when I get there. It's the town side, the financial side, what I need to do, what you expect from me, what I need from you guys, you know, when you expect me to be here for meetings, how often we talk, whatever.
We can work that out.
Yeah.
As long as I don't feel that there's a wall between us, or I'm calling up and saying, Chad, I just saw on Facebook that the fire department is doing this, this, and this. You know, I just want to be kept in the loop. Anything to do with human resources, I need to be kept in the loop. Anything to do with insurances, you know, there are just some things that I need to know. There are also some things that I don't know, like what kind of paperwork you have to have for this training, and what kind of paperwork you have to keep for all sorts of things. I mean, there I'm not going to be able to help you much, but anything I can help.
And that's all stuff, you know, Jeff came down.
Yep.
And
Very knowledgeable.
he's very knowledgeable, and the day after I got nominated, he texted me and just to let me know that he was there, whatever. Joe guy, I talked to him last week, shy of me having facial hair, he was very happy with me today.
Well, we may have to get you to shape it.
I think we have a good plan right now. I think Jerry's idea is that it's time for some fresh blood to come in and change it over a little bit. I don't think that the old timers are ever going to get past this head button with certain other old timers still around the town.
Well, the one problem, and this is not me sitting here as a selectman, but been living in the same forever, is the fire department has always had their own thought that they're separate from the town,
Right.
that they're their own domain and not controlled by the town. Whereas the reality is the fire department is no different than any other department of the town.
Exactly.
You know, and I think that's where the button of heads has always come. Is, you know, I mean, before we were both selectmen, we was on budget, and we've been through that process for a very long time now. But you know, there's never been a lot of information that's been willing to be passed from one to the other when it comes to budgetary or what the needs truly are, or the direction and things like that.
And that's what I want changed.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, the more you guys can see what we're doing, because to the best of my knowledge, shy of being, there's no shady stuff going on
Right.
that I know of, and there's not gonna be. So the more I can have you guys involved, the more you can see. I mean, I have absolutely no problem drawing up a budget and saying, this is where we spent here, and here. Here it is.
Right.
And I want to be able to prove that every month, because I also see fire chiefs getting in trouble with financials and embezzlement and all that crazy crap, which I want to make sure. I almost want to set it up to be fail-proof. You know, I don't want any under-the-table deals, nothing hidden, nothing like that.
One thing that we haven't done, but we have talked about, and we've done it in the past in other areas that we couldn't set up, and it's not very hard, is yes, the fire department has a budget, and yes, you're in control of it, but the fire chief doesn't matter what it is, it always runs over her desk before it goes out.
And see, I'm good with that.
Another way of doing that, you know what I mean?
To an extent, if we need a filter for a transmission,
correct.
you know, we should have a Napa account or
We
something
just
to that effect.
set you up a Napa account, and I'm
Right.
sure that anything you get through Napa, but you know, we could set an amount limit, we could, just set it up so that you say, hey, my thinking is, these are worn out, I need to replace them, I have this in the budget, what do you think, and we can talk it over, you know.
Right.
As long as we're communicating.
I'm huge. As a matter of fact, I've been accused of over-communicating at work on a number of occasions. I don't think you can communicate enough with anybody. I won't keep secrets from any of those guys. You know, those guys are doing the best that they know how to do. And I'm not going to keep secrets from them to an extent. You know, I mean, I'm not going to disclose everything, but if I want them to be a part of everything. I have an issue with officers' meetings a lot of times. I have for a long time. Okay, you want to have an officers' meeting and then we'll decide whether or not we're going to tell these other 10 guys. That bothers me a lot of times. It's just waste of time and pointless. I want everybody involved in it. Same as the SOPs. I've taken the SOPs that we have. I went through every page and doctored them up, made tons of notes. They're going to change.
Yep.
But they're not going to change until every guy in there says, I like it. And I mean, and then we can present it to you and say, and then you guys can make the notes. Everybody on the same page. One of Travis Sally's biggest issues was he couldn't get his hands on the SOPs. Well, that's ridiculous. They should be there for everybody. And nothing against Jerry or anybody else, but you know, you'll never hear me come in here and trash anybody. I'm not like that, and I don't even want to. The past is the past. We'll just start now and see what I can do going forward.
Well, it sounds as though, Chad, that, you know, transparency is, it makes it easy. Everyone knows the truth and what's happening. And so there's never, so it sounds as though your policy is going to be transparency.
Okay.
And that's very easy for everybody to work with. And I think what happens is when there isn't transparency, then there's all of these rumors and questioning and you know, that type of thing.
The rumors disgust me.
Yeah.
It really frustrated us
Yes,
because we've been working on this sincerely for over 2 years, and
That's why we have that right there.
yeah.
And we don't have to have that. I mean, if you go on a lot of these other towns and you go over their minutes, some of them are actually pretty comical compared. You couldn't follow anything of what they talked about anyway. You know, but I mean, you're not going to get much more than that.
Right, we're accountable and transparent, and that ends up on our website, so any townsperson can sit and listen.
To have the meeting we had on May 9th.
That's right, 2 years ago.
Which
2018.
we talked about a lot.
It was so aggravating because that was a sincere back and forth, and actually I thought we really had made, because both the chiefs were very forthcoming, and we have these problems, these concerns, and so we were trying to work on those concerns, and then we had a special meeting because we needed to get some money to pave a road, and I don't know how many firemen showed up to vote against paving a road. It was like a protest vote, because they had been told something that wasn't true. It was really aggravating for all of us and the town, and totally unnecessary.
That needs to be put to bed.
Yeah.
Plain and simple, there's just no other way to say it.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we had those meetings right here, and I had them on tape, and we had it open to the public, and you know what I mean? We was
We're trying
about everything we were talking about. It wasn't a behind the door, you know what I mean, or anything. It was, but anyway.
In 2005, when I joined 2004, when I joined the fire department, one of the first things I heard was the town's trying to shut us down. I walked through the door and heard, good luck, the town's trying to shut us down.
15 years later.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah.
Here we are, and again,
You're done with
Well,
that.
there may be things the town was trying to shut down, I mean,
I want
but not necessarily the entire fire department.
I want communication, I want working together, I want you guys to know who I'm bringing on as rosters, you know, I mean, I'll tell you right now that Orman's gonna come back with me taking over as chief. Orman, pain in the ass, you know him very well.
Known his whole life.
I love him right to death, he's a good friend of mine, pain in the ass, hell of a fireman.
Yep.
Knows every single piece of equipment in there, is around during the day, and is willing to do it all and help train.
Yep.
Harlan's talking about coming back on, he's not physically active, he's older, but he can drive every single truck, he can run every single truck, and he knows what every piece of equipment does. There's two guys during the day. I've talked to Travis Sally. I think Travis got a bum deal in that whole situation that happened. As far as I'm concerned, the other guys are not welcome back. I think what they did was not right, and I just don't want anything to do with it again. I think Travis got sucked into a bad deal. Travis is a good fireman. He knows what he's doing. He's willing to help, and he's willing to do anything. And I think there's a good possibility that he's going to try to rejoin too.
Before I just, rather than naming individuals, I would prefer that we not do that. Just, I don't know where you might go, but everything you said is complimentary to these guys, but we don't wanna be negative about anybody else.
Right.
These are all previous town employees that we're talking about, so. But it sounds like a good plan.
Yes.
So.
A really, really positive step.
On that same note, negativity has gotta go away,
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
period. I don't want downers, I don't want fighting, I don't want
yeah,
positive, upbeat, all fighting for the same purpose. So at the end of the day, when your house catches on fire, there's a group of guys that's gonna go,
Yep.
no matter what.
right, right.
What do you think of Jeff's policy with junior fighters and having a parent?
I think we have to discuss that heavily. It's a great idea, and a lot of other departments, but it's so tough when you have a 15-year-old kid who says, I want to do this when I grow up, this is what I want to be when I grow up. And you have the opportunity, and we had a young guy by the name of Chaz 10 years ago. Started off as a junior, he lived in Guilford, he came to Sangerville because Guilford wouldn't take him. We took him because our policy was we would. He became a fantastic firefighter, and he's down in York County right now working dispatch and still working in the fire service to the best I know.
Yep.
It's tough. It becomes almost a case-by-case basis. Obviously, you'd prefer there be a parent. You know, my daughter's been involved with this fire department since she could walk. When she got old enough, she joined, and now she's a firefighter, and she's taking that on to school and using all that knowledge, and it worked out great for her.
Cool.
But I was there for every step of it. It's tough. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it being black and white. On the same sense, you can get burned, right? We have guys that are at the scene. The rescue 9 times out of 10 has somebody who needs to stay with it. If Jeff Willie shows up, Jeff, stay with the rescue and help fill their packs. And when he stays with the rescue, he's in charge of the guys that are with the rescue, and the juniors stay with the rescue. I don't know. It's up for more discussion.
Yeah, maybe if you had a trusted person that was kind of in charge of the youth, and you,
Like a mentor.
yeah, he's the
Yeah,
uncle, he's the guy, and or the gal, and you trusted them because ultimately it's on you. So, but I totally get, you know, if you get a young person that wants to get involved, but they don't have a family that can get involved,
Right,
it's
right.
unfortunate that you couldn't bring them in.
And
So,
that's, those cases are gonna happen.
Sure.
yeah.
In today's world, to tell anybody who's young that wants to do something,
Yeah.
no.
No kidding.
It's not a video
Dad
game.
does it with you,
Yeah,
That
yeah,
just kills me to tell somebody that.
yeah, no.
Boy Scouts always did 2-up leadership. I
Yeah,
think
that's
it's
right.
really something to think about, just meaning that always, no adult is alone with a child that isn't theirs. Because
Absolutely, I agree
it
with
protects everybody.
Yeah.
It protects the child, it protects the adults,
Yep.
Yep,
and you don't get any complaints that
yep, yep.
it's something.
I think you're gonna get good support from us. I said to you a couple of meetings ago, if the fire department ever goes away, it should come from you guys
Yeah,
and not
right.
from us. And so, I think there's an element of pride in having a fire department, and if we can make it work, I think it's great. Well, it's not gonna be easy though.
No, it's not gonna be easy. It's gonna be a challenge, it's gonna be tough, there's gonna be recruiting involved. You know, in 2008, we were the best fire department around. We could go up against Dexter, Dover, Guilford, all bigger departments, all more money, and we could go to any muster, convention, and we were good. Because we were tight-knit, we did stuff together, we all knew each other, and when it came time to go to work, we all took a lot of pride in it. We got kicked while we were down. I use the analogy of, you got 2 kids in the house and mom and dad get divorced. Those 2 kids are devastated for a while, and they gotta figure it out on their own, and mom and dad are trying to figure that thing out. Eventually, everybody grows up, and that's where we're at now, right? We got kicked 7, 8 years ago. Now it's time to bring it back together. And it can be done. You gotta do it.
Good.
Good?
Well, that sounds
So the
good.
easy part's over, we're talking about it, now we're together.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But if your biggest stressor, and going back to that, is the office part of it, I think there's solutions to that. And one, you're right, I mean, that's fabulous.
But also utilize what we already have, I mean.
Right.
You
Well,
you have resources available that aren't in that are already part of the town, too.
Yeah, I mean, the chief has a lot on their plate, and if that's the biggest stressor, I think that's
Yeah,
solvable.
I think at times it becomes turf, and that, it doesn't need to be. If we have resources and Bridie's team can take something off your plate, that gives you more time to do something else.
Yeah.
And it's really, we're all on the same turf, so.
My biggest thing is work together.
Yep.
Yep.
Work together,
Yep.
talk.
And I think it will be a win-win.
My phone's always open. I always get text messages. I always answer my emails.
That's great. That's
important.
That is important, the communication. You know, even if it's like, I can't come to the meeting, sorry, I can't come. Great, then we know what's happening. So, we don't want to tie you down to meetings either. I mean, that's not our.
No, but I think it's important at least once a month to be in here and.
Yeah,
This is
to
what we have
communicate
going on.
what's going on.
I can tell you, that's never happened, so if you could pull that off, I'd be greatly impressed.
Yes.
Great.
Great, that's great. And whenever you can get here, our meetings are at 5, but if, we can always.
What is the meeting schedule?
It's the first and third Wednesday at 5.
Alright. So this is about what time? 5:45.
So
That's
really,
fine.
just whatever meeting you plan on coming, make sure she knows.
So that.
So that way, if we do have a light night, and we know you're coming, we can recess and.
Yep.
Wait for you.
Yep. Yeah, you could plan on doing, the second, the last Thursday, or whatever, the first, whichever one you wanted to do. And I honestly doubt that you're gonna need to come every single month once we get rolling
Right.
here.
No,
But-
maybe.
But if you came quarterly, it would be far beyond anything
Every
we've ever
6 months.
seen.
Yeah.
And it might be one of the things where I can text Bridie and if you say, hey, there's really no reason for you to, okay, no problem.
Or
Maybe I'll text you and say, I have a reason I need to.
That's
Yep.
right, that's
Yep.
right.
these things happened, but it really doesn't require me to come to the meeting.
Again, yeah, if you're
If
committing
if
with,
you give me a list or
Right.
give me,
Yeah.
right,
just let know and I can pass that on, I mean.
right,
The majority of our communication is gonna be done over the phone, emails, text messages, or just talking on the phone. Because I leave my house at 5 o'clock every morning and I get home at 5:45 every night.
yeah.
And I don't see that change anytime soon. I wish it would, but I don't think so.
Because really, I mean, especially when we get the bylaws switched around and all that, but she'll be your boss.
Right,
So, I mean, yes, it's great that you come see us, but at the same token, as long as you two have a really good rapport on communication,
Yep.
like you said, you do work a lot during the day, you don't need to waste a lot of time for a lot of extra meetings being here either, so.
no, that's not necessary.
And the same thing with working with Deb, I know because I don't know exactly how you know Deb and Glenn, but they think you're like the greatest thing.
I know Gwen because my son David and Gwen were both in the same class.
Oh, is that it?
So, I know.
Well, they both speak very highly of you, so Deb's very excited to.
I only know Deb because it's here with Gwen.
No,
Yeah,
but
so
that's,
that's-
right there it would be great. I mean, just getting that straightened out.
Yeah.
And again, if you know what all's happening with the financials and all that stuff, it's
Yeah,
all good.
the only reason to make somebody appear once a month is
Yeah, it's because we have no idea
because
what's going on.
Otherwise, you never hear from them.
Right.
So, if you and I are working together, that's not a necessity.
Right,
But
exactly.
But we're always anxious to hear what's going on. You might just tell us, I got 2 new guys and I'm really excited about it. That would be great. Because plus it gets on the record,
Right.
and that's helpful.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
don't,
That's
Well,
all.
this is all being recorded right now.
Yep.
yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
So I'll go on record by saying that I want to be the first thing with fire chief to work with the town and make things better. And
Well,
let's go
that's-
with that. And let's
that's, yeah.
rock and roll.
There you go, there you
I
go.
think we can. I think it can be done. I think it's manageable.
That's
Do you know
great.
anybody who needs the air pack training? Department of Labor just put out a list of classes they're offering, and it was
I did have, but now I don't know if he's
okay.
gonna be.
I just thought I'd let you know that if you
Yeah.
had anybody, because
Yeah, we actually the last county chiefs meeting we went to last Wednesday. They have some trainings out there where the Main State Fire Tech Academy is gonna actually be bringing their trailer around. sprinkler, interior attack and all that, to get guys their basics. But, I talked with them the other day. I'm not gonna implement this as a hard policy, but going forward, interior attack is gonna be at a minimal until we're better trained or there's more seasoned people to go in with. If we can get there and verify there's nobody in that house, if the house is really lost, exterior fighting's fine. Bangor's doing it, Portland's doing it, everybody's going to that direction. I don't want guys that are trained basic in there trying just because they think they have to. That's gotta come to an end. There's a lot that goes into it, there's, you know, sounding your floors, going in the right direction. I mean, there's a certain way you touch a wall. There's a lot that goes into it. So if there's still power in there and you touch an outlet like that, you're in big trouble. If you touch an outlet like that, it'll just give you a shock and kick your hand away. There's a lot that goes into it.
Wow.
I'm not gonna put any of those guys in that situation. Unless you tell me there's somebody in there. Or we have reason to believe there's somebody in there.
Oh, good.
So
That's all good.
that's where I'm at.
Well, that's all good news.
That is.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Keep that ball rolling.
Yeah.
Good.
But if you're, you know, feeling swamped, that's what we're all here for, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's, you know, we want you to succeed.
That's why every time we've done this, as far as bringing them in and talking, it's not because we want the department to close, it's what's out there for resources that can help.
Right.
And make it, because honestly, I mean, we all know the way the population is, and we know it's aging, and we know it's declining, and blah-de-blah-de-blah, and we can all think nice, happy thoughts that, you know, the department's gonna go back to 30, 35 guys, but more than likely, the reality is that probably will never happen again.
Right.
But how do you take it, and instead of a 35 guy, what if 15 is that number? How do you make it a good 15 or a good 20?
That's it.
And go from there. I mean, maybe the way it was run before, and you had all these officers, maybe that's not the future. Once you get in there, you don't have that seniority anymore. Maybe you don't do that anymore. Maybe it's you combine, you change, or you adapt to what you got rather than.
And that's actually something that's in our bylaws now that'll be, when we get them all turned in, officers' duties are really not going to be listed. So right now it's, you know, the first captain, which is my position right now, is the air pack captain. The second captain is a training officer. The first lieutenant works with the first captain and the second lieutenant works. There really doesn't make any sense to do that. Why are we pinning ourselves to that position? How come the assistant chief can't be the training officer if he's the most qualified guy on the department?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because it was a way to keep helmets.
Exactly. And it doesn't.
That's exactly what it did. I mean.
Yeah, and I don't, that should be at the discretion of the department to say, hey, this guy should be the assistant chief, but he's also the best teacher we have on the department.
Yeah.
Or this guy is gonna move up to first captain, but he's the best airback man we have. Why would we, it doesn't make any
Right,
sense.
but pigeonholing because of the title.
Right.
Right,
It
yeah.
doesn't- we're just- that's stuff that we wanna get changed right now.
Yep. Good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Sounds like Belichick.
Oh, boy. Get me started on Belichick right now, I'm not very happy.
Well, he has a pretty good reputation. Up until recently.
Yeah, he does.
All right, that's good.
All right, well, good. Anything further, you guys?
Did you
No.
need open house?
I'm impressed.
No, because trying to do it with a social distancing was just gonna be.
Oh, okay, we were one day, see, again, I mean, there was no communication, we had no idea whether you had it or, no, you know what I'm saying, but these are all things,
We're going to have an open house, but it's going to be planned a little bit better and be advertised better, and it's gonna be one social distancing and all that gets.
yeah, it's hard to do anything right now. So,
We'll see what happens after November 3rd.
okay.
All right, well, back to the,
You all set?
Is it, yep,
Yeah, we are. Thank
all
you for
set.
coming.
Thank you very much for coming.
yeah. Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session, 1 MRSA 405, 6A personnel.
Second.
All in favor? Yes, we are. It's 20 minutes to 7, and we're going into executive session.
Same here.
You got 30
You told me, oh, it's gonna be so short,
You
so I
got 2
said,
minutes
great.
to go.
Okay, it's 3 minutes of 7, and we're, make a motion that we come out of executive session.
Second.
We'll vote. We are back in session at 3 minutes of 7, and we have this final item to deal with, and that is the proposed layout of the town office.
So, where do we need to go from here, as far as?
The goal is to come up with enough of a proposal so that Nick can create the renderings that we would use as a presentation device, either at town meeting or even before. We could start hanging them up so people could see them and get an idea and start a conversation about that. And we've seen his product. So if we decide to put that building out here in this parking lot, that his rendering is going to look that way.
Right.
So if we put it on 23 at the park, you might see the sign, you might see the gazebo, and people will start to get a feel for what this thing might look like.
Right.
I think that's our goal.
Right. So, but we're at an impasse. I mean, and as far as, I know Dale, obviously you want to go present it as out on the point.
Yep.
Okay, so we're at an impasse. I mean.
Yeah, and I'm thinking 23 is a better position, but.
Yeah, and I do too.
Okay.
I mean, so what do we do from here?
Well, it's quite simple. If we make a motion, then we would vote. But there are other options. We can include more than one option if that's what we want to do. I don't really think we want to entertain additional locations. I don't think we want to go back to Public Works or this parking lot.
No. I agree. Do you agree with that, Dale?
I don't want to.
Right.
Okay.
I don't see that's why I just don't really, I don't know. Like I said, when we first started, this was gonna be what's more viable for the town, and we've kind of hacking this back to bare bones. So basically, if you put it at the point, if you're putting it out front, that's all, it's gonna be a building, that's all it's gonna be. And there's not a lot of extra. And you're spending costs to put in a new drive down to the side, for later on to build a road to the back, whereas originally we already knew we needed to build a road, so we were already planning that was gonna happen. The town office is kind of jumping onto a road that was already planning on being done. I don't really see the road as being added cost for a building.
So then it's only the 8,500 to get power down there.
Correct.
I wasn't considering that we would build lesser of a building. In fact, I'm thinking whether you put it on the point of 23, you'd build exactly the same building.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
I agree with
it's
that.
not a stripped down building.
Yeah, no, it's
But
not.
it's just
It's
a different
compared to
location.
what we was 2 months ago. I mean, originally we were trying to add what other uses with the building could be used for, which was the library, which we don't think that's gonna be there now.
And we
It
also.
could be. I mean,
We've also, I think, vetted the idea of having our town meetings, and I think we've talked about it and really realized that that's not. I mean, do you agree? You agree with that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we reduced the
The
footprint
only reason
because
why
we
that
are.
was there was we needed that footprint to see how big of a building you gotta do.
Right.
It's easy
right,
to sit here and say, oh, I'm gonna build a building for 100 people.
Right.
Well, that's great. Do the math. This is what you gotta have.
Guess
Right.
what? It's a much bigger building than you need for everything else.
It's
Right.
100% bigger building.
Right.
Right. And if you boil it down, in my brain, the way I did boil it down is for 3 hours, 4 hours, once a year. It makes no sense to be building a building to accommodate that number of people for once a year.
Correct.
But I guess but I take exception to the idea that by putting it at 23, it's somehow vastly scaled down versus putting it on the point. I
No,
would
that
build the
doesn't
same
change. That's
exact
not-
building.
No, that's not what I said.
Okay, I misunderstood.
No, we'll do whatever we're gonna do for a building, it's the same building.
Right, and library, no library,
That's
it's all
what
gonna
I'm
be
just
the
saying,
same.
2 months, 3 months
choices.
ago,
Yep.
this is all these directions where we were gonna go, and you need a footprint, and you need, Now you're not down to much of a footprint.
No,
You're back
No.
to almost a 2-car garage,
right,
Turns out that's really all we need.
that's right,
which is what we said to begin with,
Yep,
yeah,
yep.
which ain't much.
right, right. So, I mean, you know, I don't like having such a vast, you know, I don't like the,
I don't really mind 2 proposals.
you know,
If
that'd be
that's
fine
what
with
you,
me.
I don't
Yeah.
have a problem with, and Nick, he might charge us a little bit more, but it's gonna only be maybe a few $100s.
Well, it's the builder you just,
Right,
Same
so, but he's gotta do the
He's
points
gotta
of
do
view.
the landscape, that's
I
it.
don't have a problem with putting it up and say, where do you guys want it?
Right,
And if the
my
town
biggest
raises
thing
their
is we
hand,
put it up by 23, I'm not saying it's gonna ruin the 23, but it really limits to what you're ever gonna do on the front part of that lot, forever. And my view is if you put the building down off the point into that hill area, you're never gonna do anything with that point of property anyway. So you still have the entire the whole rest of the property to do whatever you wanna do.
and that
That's
would
how
be,
I view it.
and that might be how the discussion would go at town meeting.
right,
Correct.
right,
And the people are gonna raise their hand, and sometimes, if you have 2 choices,
Yeah.
now it's not a choice of whether we're gonna do it or not, it's
right.
whether we're gonna
It's
do
just
A or B.
Right,
Which I have a problem with that,
Which
Right.
could make it
yep,
easier.
right, exactly.
so,
And I like that idea. I mean, I do like that idea of having two different locations and not leaving it up to 3 people to decide. You know what I'm
exactly,
saying?
Because
yep,
we're already into that. I
Right.
mean, we're already starting to, well, there was the posting that might have disappeared, but, there's already some, and there's other people as well, that really think that, you know, people that don't understand how everything works as far as the town, think that we can wave a magic wand and go build a new building.
Right,
And that's clearly not how this works.
No.
It's not how we're talking about or what we wanna do or anything else.
no, and I don't think, I'll admit, there's a lot of emotion around these things, and some people might find your location inspiring, and say, you know what, now that's worth doing.
yeah,
Whereas, if you're just gonna plug it on 23, like, well, no, I'd rather be, so I get that, so I'm open to it, I don't have a problem. And I don't think the costs from Nick are gonna be prohibitive.
no.
You're just gonna
No,
have
I
2 views
think-
of the same building.
I think you, at this point, you have to spend that money too.
Yeah.
I think we owe that.
The bigger question is it would be one side of me fully agrees. We ought to have something up for when it's time to vote. It'd be nice to
If
have
we
something.
can.
If we can.
Yeah.
But the other side is, I'm really worried about having something up for time to vote because number one, it's gonna hammer the hell out of everybody that's in here working
Yeah.
with questions.
Yeah.
Or there's
Well,
not gonna be anybody.
They should be up all the time. As soon as we have them, they should
Sure.
go up.
No, I
But-
understand.
Anybody coming in should
But
see them,
that's
should go
the,
on the town website,
sure.
start the conversation.
Right, but maybe before voting is not the time to do, or at voting.
Well, I don't.
We have to be able to put it, if we could do something out there, maybe, so in the hallway, and then maybe have a narrative that goes along
Yep.
with the picture,
Yep,
so that it might not hammer you guys, cause I can,
they should appear on the website at the same time.
right.
When Nick's got a product, then we should put it up.
No, but I just think that we should have something that goes with it, other than, hey, here's the idea of a new building.
Yeah, that's whenever we're ready. The sooner we can get it out so people can start imagining it, I think the more, and the other thing is we'll start getting some feedback. Some of it will be negative, some will be positive, but we can start working on answers.
Something.
You know, at least concerns. People are gonna bring up some stuff that we haven't thought about.
Yep.
And it'll be helpful. So,
When I look at the aerial of that now, I'm scratching my head because you've got that playground up front that we're gonna wanna move. But you can't move it to the middle because you got the gazebo
Sure you can go
there.
in the middle.
Well, where do you park for the gazebo? I really think this landscape, you really need,
Well, I can tell you that when that gazebo was talked about being built, and when the gazebo was built, we all discussed this, about the location of the gazebo, and how we didn't think, well, I personally was pretty vocal, that didn't think it was being built in the best spot, and shouldn't be built.
we
where it
weren't really
was.
asked.
And
Right,
No, I
we
believe
were,
that.
we were actually told that that gazebo was built in a manner that it could easily be
be
moved.
moved.
Other than the ramp, probably it can. And
Well,
I don't
so
know why
there
you
you
can't
go.
move the ramp and then,
I'm just wanna be out there.
Throwing it out there, keep that in the back of our mind,
Yep,
that
that,
it could be
well, I'm
moved.
just saying that you really do need a landscape
Architect,
architect and a plan, because one that looks for what we can do now and what we're going to do 10 years from now.
Well, particularly if we're
yeah.
gonna seek this grant money,
Right.
yeah,
we
Well, we have to have
we
it.
have to have a
we
comprehensive,
have to,
detailed,
we have to.
yeah.
But it is gonna be
It's gonna be costly,
costly. But
it's,
if
I
it
might have
pertains,
somebody.
if it pertains
Really?
to, the grant, they'll
That's
reimburse
right.
half of it.
Half of it.
He said they
yes,
But you gotta follow through with it,
gotta follow through with it.
yes,
or you lost that money.
that's right.
correct.
So, what we're looking for is for Nick to, as best that he can, to produce renderings of those two locations.
Yes.
And I think he ought to do with and without daylight basement.
What are you talking about now for a footprint? He kinda has to have an idea.
That, I think we keep the footprint basically the same, which was what, 40 by 28? One floor if we don't have a library, 2 floors if we do.
Alright, so that's how we,
Yeah.
You know, if we really want us, if we go to 2 floors, we probably don't need 40 anymore, because all that's up there is the municipal office, so you could maybe go to 24 by 30.
correct.
So, but those are all lesser. In other words, if we project 28 by 40 in both scenarios, budgetarily, we'll come in under. When it finally comes time to ask for money.
Do you think if we had the library board come in and we had with us as a board and them and had an open conversation after, especially when we get the numbers where we think they're gonna be, and make sure they have an idea of what direction we're going in, do you think they would continue to say, yeah, I wanna have so many feet? Or do you think they would be opposed to it, to almost trying to fight this? Or
They were.
do you think they
were
might be
pretty
actually
clear
look at
that-
the numbers and say, we don't really think we need to do this. We like the idea of not having a library and using that funds to pay for everybody for life for Guilford or Dexter.
I suspect that it would be split. I wouldn't be surprised. But at the end of the day, town's gonna decide.
They were very against it back when, you know, it was heresy that I said something like.
I know, but times have definitely changed. They're
I
not
know.
nowhere near the same direction.
I know.
They don't have any numbers. They're
No,
2
but
days a
the
month.
board itself, I think,
2 days a week.
I think you could easily have split points of view. Even this, I think Bridie was right, they had this meeting, and half of them expected that they weren't opening this year, and half of them were ready to go back to work, so,
Yeah.
and so they decided, okay, well, if you're ready to go, then they did, so I wouldn't be surprised if you saw a different reaction to this, that's fine.
I know, it just would be easier at town meeting when you're having the conversation if you were debating, if you knew
If they
what
don't come out and
side.
say,
Where they're
Well, I mean, really be
Maybe a
easy
library.
if the library basically said, you know, our usage is so low now that really it doesn't make sense, but I don't think that's gonna happen. If that were true, now they might not even adopt that position, but, I think at the end of the day, we need to be able to present to the town, the level of usage as best that we can, so you're gonna have to go back to 2019, and how much was the library utilized, basically break that down, cost
Oh,
benefit
I'm fine with
analysis,
that. I'm
and
just
if
wondering
the
if
town
it's a
votes to
benefit.
keep it, they keep it,
Is it a benefit to bring them in with us and have that conversation first?
before we get to the town meeting, probably,
well.
cause we're gonna go through budget again,
Because budgetarily, we're going to be going through,
yep,
Right, that's not very far away.
not very far at all.
And actually,
you
that's
just
how
signed a warrant for 19,000 for a library that couldn't be open because of COVID. But it's to pay the librarian.
Yeah,
Who
I
sat-
understand. I
Who
mean,
sat
it's
there,
still-
who
yeah.
sat there and,
Yeah, you still have, well, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Right,
It's part of the deal.
yeah,
the money was approved and.
Sure.
Yeah, and
It's one more thing to bring up, because we don't know where the future's gonna be with any of this.
Yeah. That's right.
I mean,
And it's, there'll be areas of pushback like on the town meeting. There will be people who will say you should build a building that will hold a town meeting.
That would sell it to more people.
There would be some people that would like that.
Yeah.
But you know what, that's why I'm glad we did what we did, because at the building of that size still was not big enough to have town meeting.
No,
Not even close.
nope.
No, I mean, you needed at least 10 more feet in width and 20 more feet in length.
I would say that's minimal. Yep.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying.
You had to blow it up by 30%.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
For no other purpose.
100%.
Yep.
yeah, that was a good illustration.
Yeah, he did a good job
But
of that.
that's
A
what
good
you-
exercise.
Yes,
That was worth it.
yeah, build a post and beam behind beside it or something.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's kind of that same scenario.
Yeah.
That's really what you need though, is you need something that big. So.
And I went into it thinking it was gonna be easy, that we would accommodate it easy, but when you actually put the little seats down,
Yeah.
it wasn't that easy.
And those were
You
right
had
together,
to be
sandwiched.
You was gonna be friendly.
Yeah, you were.
There was no 6 feet there.
And that was all assuming that you never exceeded 100.
That's right too.
I mean,
That's right.
I mean, I don't know,
With no
probably
distancing.
600 or 700 people are gonna vote here in 2 weeks. If we ever had a meeting where 300 people wanted to show up. So,
That is the one thing that I do like about up there, is that is, even over here, I mean, if we had 150 in the fire department, I don't know if you'd get them all in there. Whereas up there, we definitely.
school would work for that too, I mean.
Yeah, the school would be
You got
fine.
bleachers, you could. put
No,
a lot of
because you don't
people-
you don't do that, they do them in the cafeteria, is where they
Oh,
do
well,
them up to the other.
Well, she said with 2 schools, she could make it work, so I figured it all depended on what activities were.
Yeah, I mean, typically, everything they.
they must do the
is
school budget meeting,
No, they do
In
it in
the
the
cafeteria.
cafeteria.
okay, so
It's
that
up in the
must be a
little
big cap. I mean, when you have an SAD vote, that's where they hold it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because we always did them in the gym in Litchfield.
but they
the
don't
big
do
building.
them.
Yeah.
They don't do them on the bleachers just because I think it's more for safety because of elderly and things like that. Whereas it's all floor seating and they take all the tables. It's just all lines of chairs. But even in there, you're not gonna get.
Do you know?
150 people,
Do you
maybe?
know what the legal seating is for up on the hill?
No,
as
I
far
could
as what
ask
they're
that,
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
yeah, that's
for sure.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure they have to have a.
right. Yeah, I'm sure they're.
But that must be. Is that on concrete?
I think so.
Yeah. So
Oh, yeah.
I was just thinking floor load. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It's not- the ground is not so big.
Okay, so I think, I don't know that we really need a motion, this is, Bridie just calls them up
We'll
and
just keep
gets
pushing.
it going.
Yes.
So, give me what you want me to.
Both locations,
Both
point
locations,
23,
Both
with and without.
with or without basement.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll work on the description's pretty clear, I mean, with the basement's gonna have a library. And he'll make it look pretty.
Mm-hmm.
So you want 4 renderings, okay.
Yep,
Yeah.
And we're probably aiming for town meeting.
Oh, for sure.
At the latest.
Oh gosh, yeah.
ASAP,
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if he thinks he can pull it off, great.
yeah.
We just need
And
to.
the renderings are going to be site, you're gonna know where they're
Yeah,
located.
ideally, he can make it look so, I saw he was working with Google Earth, so, I mean, you maybe have one of those, so people can
Right.
place it. And, so you really need, actually, you need just one of those, and both locations could be there,
Right,
A and B.
So when you, I know we talked about facing the stream, but is that really what you was thinking, or was you thinking having it so the daylight basin is facing the pond, so when you drive by, thinking of that big hole,
Right.
like when you drive by, you see the first floor going with the road, and then when you drive in, you drive down around to
Correct.
the building.
Yeah,
But
because
you wasn't thinking turning the building facing it towards the stream, was you?
No.
No.
No. I would have a southern exposure on either building, honestly, but you could make it parallel to the road the way I think you just described it, or you could make it perpendicular to the road where the face of the building, like Parkman's, where you drive in, is pointed towards Dexter. And that's a southern exposure, it'd be sunny, it would be,
Yeah, I mean, I think just aesthetically, not driving up to the daylight basement as what you see.
No, you wouldn't even see it from
Yeah.
23.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Right, yes.
23 is here, and if the building went this way, you would drive by and see the first floor.
Just
Or
Correct.
see the
first
second
floor.
floor.
Correct.
Right.
And if you drove in the
The
road,
ground right.
you would drive
Back
down in,
Downgrade.
basically.
And come behind.
This side would be the
Right.
daylight.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be 23 in this way.
No.
Oh.
In fact, you wouldn't even need any parking in the front of that building. You could enter on the end of the building if you set it up that, if you wanted to.
Sure, park on the end, just walk.
Yep, just right in the end, and so,
Right.
and there's plenty of elevation there. As far, if you
Yeah,
pull
you
2
gotta-
feet out, and you'd be
You're gonna
fine.
end up filling by the time you even.
Probably.
Daylight.
Probably.
By the time you dig down to a base and start over. Yeah, 'cause that's a hole.
Yeah, it is a hole. I took videos. I was standing down there, and I mean, the trucks are going by.
Has that willow always been broken?
No, last
It
one.
just broke.
Oh, okay, I thought that looked like another fresh break.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it just,
Best way to fix that is right stone.
yeah.
Yeah. there. All right, so that's the plan.
Alright.
Okay, make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second in favor, it's 7:15, and we